Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Megabyte podcast. If you've missed any of the prior podcasts, be sure to stop through to the Megabyte podcast. This is where we drop everything. It's at anchor.fm/squeamish cactus. Well, you know what they say, history repeats itself sometimes, but I hope it doesn't repeat itself very often.
I mean, if you think about what's been happening lately,
Yeah,
it might be.
it could very well be. It could very well be. Well, our topic today obviously is historical events that were not taught in school. If they were taught, it was just a teeny bit of it.
A quick little, hey, here you go. This is all you need to know.
Today, class, we're going to learn about this. Oh, that was it for you today. Like, what? Wait a minute.
You learned the name and that was it.
There's so much history, stuff that I didn't know about this stuff.
Right.
Like, for example, have you ever heard of what they call the interwar period?
I have not.
What the hell? The interwar period, it lasted for a good while, actually, 1918 to 1939. It was basically a period that followed after the First War, World War I, of course. Man, there was a lot of stuff. The Spanish flu happened. This is just between 1917 and 1924. So when I start telling you about this stuff, you might actually be like, this sounds a little familiar or sounds similar. In 1917 through 1924, just a quick rundown, we had the Spanish flu, the global economic crisis that happened. There was an Irish War of Independence. There was an Allied occupation of the German passive resistance at the Ruhr German. The Ruhr, I'm assuming, is that the Russians? I'm not sure. The rise of Mussolini, that guy, that historical dude. Of course, we heard a lot about him. The invasion of Transylvania by the Romans, or Romanians, I should say, not the Romans, because that would have been kind of funny. Hail Caesar! I don't think that would have happened. Uprising against Spanish in Morocco. I mean, there was just all this stuff, and that was just a small frame of time. But this was called the interwar period that happened between 1918 and 1939. That's an interesting little thingy there. I've never heard of this stuff before.
I haven't either. I mean, I've heard about a couple of them.
Right.
In passing, but there's quite a few things that is on this list that I have not heard of at all.
The Finnish War of Independence. I mean, the Polish War of Independence against the Germans. I mean, this is just 7 years. In 7 years, oh my goodness.
That's a lot to happen in 7 years.
It's crazy. Chaos, I guess would be the term there. Chaos, you know. But see, you were never taught this stuff in school, were you? I was never taught this stuff. What else did they teach us in school?
Well, they didn't teach us about the Tulsa Race Massacre in 1921.
Tulsa is in Tulsa, Oklahoma?
I believe so, yeah.
Huh. No, never heard of that one before. That was in 1921?
Yes.
So just last century. So literally that's like yesterday in a sense, you know?
Pretty much.
100 years ago to the date.
It apparently was about like virtually every prominent city official was a member of the Ku Klux Klan. And there was a region-wide cover-up about it. And its historical estimates are really low, and there might still be 3 separate mass graves in the center of the city that have not been uncovered yet.
Oh, damn. So literally there could be some...
It was bad.
I've never heard of that before.
I haven't either. It's up there on the list of WTF things.
Right.
In history.
That's different. Oh, man, never heard of that. What about the smallpox? Okay, we can relate to this one in a sense. What about the smallpox epidemic?
See, I don't know much about smallpox, but I know that there's a vaccine against it. So it had to be pretty bad.
Right. There was the
That's the one that was with the Native Americans, correct?
Right, yes, the Native American smallpox. This was an epidemic that happened in 1518 and still kind of is happening to this day. You think about it. 1518 is when the known pandemic, or not really pandemic, but the epidemic, because it was just here on, our native soils.
Mhm.
That's kind of crazy though. So basically what they said was that 99% of them were dead by the time Europeans even made it in far enough to contact them. Smallpox is only the only reason why Europeans were to colonize North America too. But didn't they say though, from what I was taught, that the Europeans, when they came over, they settled here in America, they brought diseases that were never really heard of from the Native Americans, etc., or the
Mhm.
the people of the nation. They didn't have these diseases before, so it was kind of introduced by them. Doesn't that kind of sound familiar to you? Oh, it was a.
A
I
little off.
know. It's sad, It's very sad that stuff like that has happened.
Well, if you're talking about things that really never get discussed in history, what about Southeast Asia? Like in general, I don't think I've ever really learned anything about Southeast Asia
The only
in
th-
school.
the only thing, two things I learned in school was Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and the Great Wall of China.
If you think about it, all of Southeast Asia was neglected. I mean, we learned a little bit about Japan with World War
Mm-hmm.
II, the
Yeah.
Chinese history,
Right.
different dynasties, the the Great Wall, but that was about it. You don't really learn too much about India.
No, you don't. I Land might go through there a few times.
Yeah.
I think, but you never. Yeah, the that whole Southern Asian stuff is very like the trades, the Eastern,
Mhm.
the Indian trade lines they had in Asia, Southeast Asia, was
Mhm.
amazing. It was very extensive too, but you're not taught that in school. They just kind of
No,
look by it, and that's it.
like I didn't even know until recently that India was a huge factor in World War II. And about 3 million Indian people had died.
In really, see, I didn't know
Yes.
that. I knew it was a call of nations. I know that for a fact. We were trying to stay out of the war. We didn't want to be part of this war, but we got sucked into the war because of, well, we know why. But and the rest of that part is history, which is really wild. I never knew that 3 million plus
Hmm.
Eastern Indians from like India. I never knew that. That's
Yeah, because
crazy.
they fought for both the Japanese on the Eastern Front and the Germans on the Western Front.
Hmm. Mm-mm.
So they were a big part of World War II. But I didn't learn about that in high school.
I didn't know that either. Did you ever heard of the Arcadian expulsions? 1755 to 1764.
I can't say that I have.
It was, well, numbers percents of were killed as Native Americans during the Trail of Tears. Now
I
we've
remember learning about the Trail of
I do
Tears.
too. I remember hearing about that. How all the trail, they were booted, they were exiled out of their lands and stuff and moved out, which is sad. Thousands of some of the oldest families of the European descents of the New World were displaced from their lands by force. So again, that's like the Trail of Tears in a sense. Families were set adrift on rafts without sails. Can you imagine that? Just like,
It's
I'm gonna push you onto this boat. Merry Christmas. Boom, you're gone. That's it. You're exiled.
all
I
you
mean,
have all you have to move you along is the current of ocean or whatever, and
holy shit! Doesn't that
like your
sound?
hands, because they didn't get sails, meaning they probably didn't get any oars and stuff to row with either.
That would be so. I mean, you're basically at the mercy of the land, the water, rather, the winds.
You're at the mercy of Mother Nature at that point.
I wonder how many of those poor people died. That is so sad. It was a horrific event that happened here, obviously. But I never learned that. Even when I was in college, I never learned that. I heard again about the Trail of Tears and stuff, but I've never heard of the Arcadian expulsion. If there was a history test on that, I would have never I would have failed it. I'd be like, nope, never learned, never told me how to do that, and never told me about that. That's sad too, man. That's a really sad thing. Very, very sad. Mm-mm-mm.
The things you
History.
don't learn about.
Well, they should. They should teach us some
Yeah.
important things. You know.
I mean, yes, some of the things that they teach in school are important,
Right.
but not all of it is.
What saddens me at today's, just to throw it out there, just as an off topic but related, some of these Confederate statues they are destroying now. I
They're
mean,
tearing down, yeah.
it's sad because that's part of history, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't understand how a statue made of either copper, stone, or porcelain or whatever that just relates to somebody that's been there for like 200 years or whatever the case it is, how that kind of makes people feel bad or against their skin color. I don't understand it. I don't. I
I
mean,
don't either.
if it was it would have been relevant back like maybe 200 years ago, and like
Yeah.
there was one recently that was just like tomorrow that's being taken down. It's been standing for 193 years.
That's insane.
And they've decided, hey, we're just going to move this and just take it down, yank it down. I mean, history happened, folks. You can't undo history. This right now, as we're talking, is history. It's already in the books. Every second it goes by, that's in the books already. You can't erase it. You can't change it. You went to get gas this morning. Oh, can't change it. It's already history. Oh, it rained yesterday. Yeah, can't change that because that was history. So why try to hide things or get rid of things? It doesn't make it go away. It's already historically documented in thousands and tens of thousands of papers and treaties. I mean, are they going to go next after the Declaration of Independence? I mean,
it's possible. I mean, speaking of U.S. history, did you know about the Reconstruction era?
The Reconstruction era. No, I have.
1865 to 1877.
So that's post Civil War, I would assume.
Yes.
Okay.
The Reconstruction era was the Reconstruction after the Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
They had 10 or so years of trying to reinforce the racially equal society. And then, white supremacist terror campaign came and the government abandoned the project.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
That's weird. So
I guess because of the white supremacist terror campaign.
I'm all about equality, and everybody should be treated equal no matter what. I mean, if you're an alien from space or a single-celled amoeba, I mean, at least you should have a chance at something. Either education or, something like that. Okay, things that happened years ago at that time were different than they are today. Just like 1950s time frame was a lot different than today, just like 1960s. People did acids, they did angel dust.
All legal too.
They did all this stuff back then that was different than today's society. So I don't know. So back then people couldn't differentiate between it. They couldn't compare it. So when you're in a part, like right now, we're so used to computers and stuff, but I mean, that might change, there might be something different down the road where it could be, it's in the history books, but then somebody will say, well, the computer gave me too much power to get into somebody's background, or too much power to, people hack into my accounts and stuff like this. So, I mean, you never know. I mean, it is what it is, but no, I've never heard of the Reconstruction era. And it's sad it was from the government,
I mean, that's stuff that should be taught, especially when they're teaching about, the slave trade days.
Yeah.
And having to rebuild after that. I think that's important to know.
It's extremely important. I'm with you 110%. It's extremely important to know and to realize, look, this was a part of history that was dark, but So was the medieval,
Mm-hmm.
medieval ages. People were quartered and hung. I mean, those are some bad things too. I mean, granted, I mean, they didn't really choose, who, or they didn't discriminate who it was. If it was a woman, man, child. I mean, if you,
Exactly.
but see, today's standards, there's laws against that. Just
Mm-hmm.
like discriminate, things and stuff like that, and hate and all that stuff. But back then, I just don't understand how like a statue or anything like that from that time period holds relevance to today's history, today's society, when it was 200 plus years ago. Like people feel that they like we owe people something. I don't understand that. Like I mean, if you want to really dig, I mean, I am sure I have relatives in my Irish and Scottish heritage that could say, hey, and I have Native American in me as well too, so I could say, hey, so two could do that one. Speaking of Roman and Europeans, the late antiquity. That's a word I have very hard time saying, but I said it perfectly.
Yes, you did.
It was the fall, the period. For those who don't know, in lamest terms, it was the period between the fall of the Rome and the Middle Ages, which is interesting. I always thought that kind of history was really cool, like Greece and Rome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I until honest to God, Fufu, I didn't know until probably within the last 5 years, 5, 6 years, that Napoleon Bonaparte was exiled onto an island, and I guess he died there. I never knew that.
Hmm.
I never knew that stuff.
The things they don't teach in school.
Right. Well, the antiquity time, this late antiquity, was the dark ages, as they would call it. We teach people about Romans and stuff, but there was a gap between that. But the gap was important because a lot of stuff happened, like the merger of Rome, political culture produced what we now understand as kingship, the political borders of Europe, so like kind of boundaries that were set. Most of Western of Europe and the Americas, Islam and the demarcation of the East and West. They all had the rippling consequences to this very day because of that. But it's really interesting because we don't hear about Roman stuff. I guess maybe if you're in Europe, you would, because
Yeah.
I mean, it's your continent, right?
Right there.
Yeah, it's like right there. But here in America, we don't really hear these kind of stories like the rise and fall of Babylon, or you don't really hear too much about those kind of historical figures or marks. But the
And
late antiquities,
what doesn't make sense to me is, in America we have US history
right,
and then we have world history.
right.
Why are they not teaching more about the stuff that we're learning about now in school?
Yeah, right. And I'll tell you what,
I mean, if you read a US history book, that thing is extensive.
there's two things I don't know much of about, and this is on the same continent. I don't know anything about Canadian wars or anything that was a Canadian battle, if they even had
Mm-hmm.
it. Did they use hockey sticks and moose? I don't know. Maybe I
Moose
should
antlers.
moose antlers. Hey, what are you doing? Hey,
Turn them into spears.
threw a little poutine at somebody. But and then the only thing I ever hear about the other side of the world, I saw that the other side of the world was in Mexico. It's the only thing I've ever heard of was the Alamo.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about the Mexican War. The because the Mexicans owned Texas and
Mm-hmm.
Arizona and parts of the
Part
Baja
of,
California and stuff
yep.
like this. The Louisiana Trade, I think, isn't that the one that kind of put that on? I don't know.
I,
I don't know. That's really weird.
Speaking of wars,
Mm-hmm.
have you heard of the War of 1812?
I've heard of the Revolutionary War, and is that the one with Paul Revere, or am I thinking of the other one? Maybe that was the
Uh,
Civil War, where he rode around on a horse supposedly, and the redcoats are coming. I don't
well,
know.
I mean, the War of 1812 was a 2.5 year war fought by the U.S. against the United Kingdom
Boy,
in
we sure
Ireland.
did get a lot of arguments with them, didn't we?
Yeah.
I do say that's my cup of tea. That's crazy.
But it was between the North American colonies and the American Indian allies
Oh,
against Great
okay.
Britain and Ireland. I
Okay.
mean, the United States and Canada is seen by the United States and Canada as a war in its own right. It is frequently seen by Europe as a theater of Napoleonic wars, as
Oh.
it was caused by issues related to that war. So it's in connection with Napoleon Bonaparte.
Speaking of that little dude, yeah, we were just talking about him.
I mean, the war, it says the war resolved many issues which remained from the American Revolutionary War. So, I mean, it we obviously learned about the Revolutionary War in school.
I did, yes.
Why did they just cut it off there when this is a direct tie to that?
So you had the Revolutionary War that was in the 1700s. Let's skip the 1812 and go straight to the quote unquote Civil War, which was in 1860. So, yeah, it's like, what the hell? But it seems like, have you ever noticed, just off the panhandle here, have you ever noticed that we always have to put our fingers into the pot of the world? Like, we have to go here to fight this world war, or we got to go here and do this. We can't mind our own effing business.
Yeah, we have to like integrate
We
ourselves
have to
into
twist.
everybody else's problems.
Right. We have to grind ourselves into other people's businesses, Like, but I mean, it's kind of funny, though, if you think about it, the 1812 war, here we are as America just settling down. They came from Europe. So actually, in reality, those are real European settlers that started America. So we're actually part of that. We actually probably have ties, like you, myself, and everybody else listening in the audience most likely has a tie to somebody who was, from that time period.
Exactly.
But and then we get into a fight with them because they're trying to, like the Boston Tea Party. We got into a fight because of the taxation that they wanted to throw. We were like, we don't want this, so we're just going to fight you for it, which is weird. I don't know. Crazy. There was another war too. Speak of, now I've heard of this one, but again, just as you mentioned, there's nothing at all about this much in the books. It was called the 7 Years' War. Now, why it's called years, yeah, plurred like that, plurred. It was also known as the French and Indian War. Now, speak of, here we go again with shaping the world events. It was a war from 1756 to 1763, and it spanned all continents except for Australia, mate. All the way down yonder. So there was like on every continent.
See, they know how to keep their nose out of everybody else's business.
They've
got enough problems of their own that they don't need to get mixed up in everyone else's stuff.
God, man, they sure do. Those bugs down there, the snakes.
They're scary.
They have the most venomous creatures in the world living on this big continent, which is like an island. I wonder how that was when you first settled there. So all those people are actually British prisoners or British exiles, I guess you would say. That's what developed there. I don't know. It all expanded all the way from all parts of the world except for Australia. This is really weird. It was started by George Washington 12 years, are you ready for this, before the American Revolutionary War. And it led not just to an American independence, but also the French Revolution and the rise of Napoleon, etc., etc. So it's like there's... You notice that how this Napoleon guy is just like nonstop in the history books. So he's kind of...
He was a tyrant.
He was infamous.
He was a tyrant.
It all started because of this. This is silly. It all started because George Washington acted as a British ambassador and a quote-unquote lieutenant of the British military that ambushed and killed a French military commander. So that's what started the quote 7 Years' War. Now, George Washington, I think I remember hearing about that. I think that was one of the very first wars he was into. And he was, I guess, the commander in chief or whatever it was, or he was the big person. Can you imagine a 7-year war that lasts 7 years?
Not really.
Especially back then.
If you think about it, 7 years is not that long.
Right.
But if you were thinking about it from like today
Right.
to 7 years, that is a very long time.
Now, today's world, 7 years of constant battles and stuff, all the gun, because today's war is different. There's war battle tanks, there are missiles, there's a whole different things besides just a powder keg and a gun, a musket ball. So 7 years, it could took them, hell, it could have took them 3 years just to find anybody or just to go after, maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Sad. All because of George Washington. Him and his teeth. I don't know. It's just, they always say, well, they said it was wooden teeth, but in reality, it was like a concoction of different things. There was the Iranian War too, the revolution of 1979. So this is actually fairly recent, within the last 45 years, give or take. Iranian Revolution. And most curriculums like today, I didn't know this. I've never heard of this.
Heard of it.
Do you think this was part of the I wonder if that was part of the gas shortage? I think there was a gas shortage in the 70s. I wasn't around, so I don't know. It was probably one of the most important events of the latter part of the 20th century. It drastically changed the course of the Middle East and massively impacting American politics by contributing to Reagan's election. So you're mixing politics with a revolution. Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez. That's always a lovely thing to do.
Yeah, that's things that you don't know and don't want to know, and, well, it happens. Hey, politics and stuff. They were talking about...
Did you know that not only America had a civil war, but English people had a civil war?
Now, I didn't know that. I know in recent times there are some in Africa, and the continent of Africa, are having civil wars, but I've never knew the Britain area would have a civil war of its own.
Yep, the English Civil War was in 1642 to 1651. It resulted in the biggest death toll by percentage of population in English history yet. The vast majority of people in England, also including Wales, can't name one battle or who was fighting who. So it's a very undertaught.
Extremely, because I've never knew that. I never heard of that before. Now, some people that I know who are British descent may have heard of it. Maybe they were taught that in their schools. But,
possibly.
For us as Americans, we don't get that stuff, which I kind of understand. But, if you want to teach history, you want to teach world history of stuff. At least I do. I don't know. That's crazy.
I always preferred world history over U.S. history in school.
U.S. history was good, and it's good to learn about things, obviously, on your own soil, like how it was developed, how the land was, how the presidential things, all the Declaration of Independence and all the documents that went with it, the amendment rights and stuff. But I'd like to know more about the big picture, Bunny. The big picture.
There's a whole lot more to history than just American history.
Oh man, there's so much. There's so much history. You ever heard about the Bacon Rebellion? No, we're not talking about bacon, the good stuff that's cooked in the morning.
That's what I thought when you said that.
I did too at first when I first started.
Rebel on bacon.
I was like, what the hell? There's a rebellion of 1670. They were so Bacon's rebellion of 1676. This is really nobody. I've never heard of this before. It was a Native American in colonial history. It's, how can I say, it's barely even run. I don't even think you even run it down in class. I've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it. And if I did, it was probably something I wasn't paying attention to.
Basically, it was the centrality and is explaining not only colonial life, but also elements of settlers and relationships with the indigenous tribes. So they were getting, they're getting kind of crazy. There was a leader. His name was Nathaniel B. Bacon, and the governor of Virginia, William Berkeley, when the truth was a lot more complex and nuanced in reality. Native Americans, slaves, Dutchmen, and neighboring colonies all played crucial roles in the start and the course of the war. And studying it's you get a better grasp of all these groups during the time. So in other words, if you were to listen to this and you were taught this in class, you'd be able to learn and understand the roles of the Native Americans, how slavery was endured, how indentured servants and Dutchmen and neighboring colonies all played different roles in this scenario. But it really doesn't say like what the hell they were doing. I guess it was just a colonial life between the settlers and a relationship with the indigenous people. They were rebellious, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, a lot of people are rebellious.
I mean,
Especially
today it's like it's just you're born with rebellious
yes.
mindset.
You don't have to be a teenager to be rebellious anymore.
Gimme dats and rebellions. That's what it is. Trust me, I've seen it all. People on games.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about the influence of the Reformation and the 30 Years' War on contemporary politics? Oh, that one's a mouthful.
Try saying that one backwards 3 times. Jesus.
No.
Never heard of what in the hell is that about? I've never heard of anything like that before.
The Reformation or the 30 Years' War.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of contemporary incidents and political disputes that you can trace back.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, the Peace of Westphalia. I hope I didn't butcher that.
It's
established international relations and how different countries were to refer and communicate.
Okie dokie, we are back. We got Miss Bunny Fufu back with us. Good to see you back, Bunny.
I am so sorry about that.
It's okay.
Had technical with my internet.
It's okay. It happens sometimes. You know, technical difficulties do happen. It's okay, though. We're here. We're back. I was just talking about Julius Caesar, and I'm talking about Hail Caesar. Ooh.
Alrighty.
Think about a Hail Caesar salad, you know? Oof.
I love Caesar salads.
I can't believe the following 100 years or so, the creation is shaping the Roman Empire that lasted, are you ready for this? 1,500 years.
Jesus.
Holy shit, bugger. I was reading about it the other day, too, you know? I was reading about some of this stuff. I can't believe that some of the stuff from, like, Mark Antony's, and him, with a funeral oration for Julius Caesar. It's just absolutely crazy. I mean, to think about that for a second, you know, Julius Caesar was a huge thing. Wasn't he killed? Didn't somebody shoot him or stab him or something? If I'm not mistaken.
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure.
I'm pretty sure something like that. He was a dictator, obviously from Rome. Obviously, everybody knows. There was an ongoing, if I recall, there was a tension between him and the Senate, and it appears that he was also planning to claim the title of king, to overthrow the Senate and rule as a tyrant were the principal motives, because of the fact that he was going to be claimed the title of king and overthrow the Senate and rule as a tyrant. It's just crazy. He ran for 46 for 2 years, I guess. Sad way to go, but you know, it is what it is. It's part of history as we speak. Speaking of history, what else do we have?
Well, another thing that I've never heard of, but is apparently pretty important, is the Chilean War.
Every time I have a war,
Silver War.
You know, I have a war with a chili too. Every time I eat somewhere from tacos or something, that's a whole different war, though.
Yeah, it's the Chilean War, Civil War of 1891.
1891, again, fairly recent.
So its coverage is basically non-existent. The basic is that the president Balmaceda tried to make himself a pseudo-dictator. The Congress was not happy with that, and they and the Chilean Navy rebelled against the president and the army.
Weird.
Yeah. The Navy moved north and seized the strategically and economically important nitrate mines. Obviously, nitrate's used for explosives,
Mm-hmm.
and it's exported all over the world. And then they sailed south.
Ooh. Hmm. I did not know that. Hmm.
But anyway, the Congress and the Navy were ultimately victorious, and
Mm-hmm.
Chile had a relatively modern navy. And the
Okay.
conflict was a real eye opener to any countries that didn't have any modern ships
Right.
or the naval defenses that Chile had.
Mm-mm-mm. I did not know that. Chile. When you think of Chile, you think it cold, frio, but in reality, they're quite a warm country, from what I understand. But they're farther. They're way down there in what is it? The South America.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. Another thing too, I don't think I've ever heard of before, surprisingly enough, was the passing of the last Civil War widow who died in 2020, Helen Viola Jackson, who married Civil War veteran James Bolin in 1936. And Jackson was 17 when they wed, and while James was 93 years old. So this guy who fought in the Civil War married a 17-year-old in 1936, according to Jackson, was based on convenience and respect, noting that her husband really cared for her and wanted her to have a bright future. The two lived in Missouri, oh boy, at the time with Jackson struggling to survive during the Great Depression. Bolin, who'd fought for the Union during the Civil War, wanted to help and promised to leave Jackson his pension when he passed. Because Jackson was concerned she looked like an opportunist, she never applied to receive his pension after he passed in 1939. She never remarried. She never remarried either, and she only spoke about her relationship with Bolin in 2017. That's crazy. At the age of 101, Jackson was the last widow of a Civil War veteran, and she passed away in December 2020.
Wow, that's recent.
I love stuff like that, and they never teach you this stuff, and I hope they do teach this to you in the future. For people who are just going even into
Mm-hmm.
college level, even back in my college years, I don't remember being taught anything about the Civil War or the widows. I knew that they produced the ladies of the Civil War started their own pack, I guess you will,
Mm-hmm.
about like widows and stuff of the Civil War people and stuff. That's a crazy kitty cat.
Yeah, she likes to make her appearance known.
Gotcha. She said hello, goodbye, is what she said.
Pretty much.
That's crazy. Mm-mm-mm.
So, did you know, like, obviously in school,
Mm-hmm.
it was taught about guillotine.
Yes, I do remember hearing various different. Oh, was it Marie Antoinette or something? And
Uh,
or
I believe
somebody
so.
somebody got her head chopped off, and they took a couple whacks to get her head fully off. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Now, the last use of the guillotine was in 1977, which, if you think about it, was not that long ago.
you mean to tell me we were using that barbaric practice all the way up until 1977?
Yes.
Holy shit! Really?
The guillotine, often associated with the French Revolution, has origins to the Middle Ages, obviously.
Right.
Uh, it, they say it was a method of execution that was reported to be more humane than other techniques. And I mean, if you think of the
Really?
Middle Ages, that
Yeah.
is mild compared to some of the things that they did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I could see
But,
that.
but, you know, the last time the blade of a guillotine came down on a convicted criminal's neck was that of Hamida Dewey,
Mm.
a Canadian immigrant, lived in France and was sentenced to execution after having slain his girlfriend. He was executed on September 10th, 1977. And that was the last use of a guillotine.
Imagine being witnessing. I mean, okay, so that's historically historic in a sense because you figure. I mean, as revolting it as it is, I'm surprised that we were actually able to legally use that thing. Well, see, the world is not all equal in all directions.
Mm-mm.
Everything is slightly different in different countries. And imagine, so if you're witnessing this, which God forbid you ever did, that was pretty rough, I would assume. But in 1977, so actually, in a sense, people could have witnessed something that was the most historical thing because it was the last time it was ever used.
Yep.
I just don't understand. I guess
It's
it would
crazy.
be more. Yeah, it'd be absolutely crazy. Hmm. You ever heard of the two Celtic languages? Now, I have a bit of Irish and Scottish in me, but have you ever heard of the two Celtic languages called Cornish and Manx?
See, I'm not sure if I've ever heard of them,
Mm-hmm.
but I too have the Irish heritage, so it's possible that I've heard of them through stories and stuff when I was a kid and
I
just forgot about them.
I've heard of Cornish because I always thought when I was a kid, like, oh, that sounds corny, But they were two different languages, two Celtic languages that, according to the quote Endangered Language Alliance, okay, there's an alliance that Endangered Language Alliance that have completely fallen out of everyday use. The last native speaker of Cornish was Dolly Pentreath, who perished in 1777.
Wow.
Which Manx continue. Well, the Manx language continued in remote areas of Britain through 1974. The final speaker, the final person that spoke it was Edward Ned Madrell. He was a resident of the Isle of Man. He was born in 1877 or 1878. They're not really quite sure. He had learned Manx as a boy and worked as a fisherman for much of his life, and he passed in late 1974. There are some recordings of him speaking Manx exist, as do books and dictionaries, and there have been efforts to bring the language back on the Isle of Man. Now, I've heard of the Isle of Man. That's over there on the upper northern part of England, if I'm not mistaken too much. But I've heard of it. And to have these two languages that have fallen, they're not much spoken anymore is sad. To see a native language disappear, I'm kind of interested in hearing what they sound like. I'll have to listen in. I mean, is it like a cross between a British and an Irish accent, or I don't know. That's really
I'll definitely have to look into that one. That one sounds.
It's interesting, yeah, and I know some of the people we talk to who live in England probably might know a little bit about it. Or at least I've heard it. If they're not,
Possibly.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You want to feel a little bit on the older side?
Okay, let me get my teeth in real quick. Okay, go ahead.
Did you know that we were alive when the last telegram ever was sent?
They were using telegrams in our lifetime?
Yes.
Really?
On January 27, 2006, Western Union in the United States sent its final telegrams, a collection of messages that went out via their network of lines that began in 1851. It's difficult to pin down exactly when the very last message went out, but this wasn't the end of telegrams worldwide. That was just Western Union's. The end of telegrams worldwide was in 2013.
Wow.
That's not very long ago.
That was just barely 8 years ago.
Yeah.
The last telegram ever.
In India, its telegram messages came to an end on July 14th, 2013, officially nixing the communication technique.
That's really weird. So, like, of all the areas of the world, that was the like last standing telegraphic lines. I mean,
Yeah.
I know the telegram. I mean, you've seen movies. I mean, come on, you've
Oh,
seen
God,
old
yes.
movies where they sit there and like telegram for Roger, and they give you like this little piece of paper envelope, and and I always found it amazing that a telegram was kind of like an email, but a virtual or instead of a virtual mail, it was legitimately like you got something in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, it was shorthand, or sometimes because it would cost. I don't know if it was per letter or per line or word, but I knew it was kind of pricey back in those days.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind that we had Western Union lasted that long. I thought that phased out back in the 30s or World War One or so.
I mean, if you think about it, Western Union is still a thing.
Oh, it
They
is.
just do money services now.
Yeah, yeah. All these people are sending money over in the middle. Mm-hmm, I know that. That's crazy. Speaking of things on the east side of the world, London. Now I would love to go here just to visit it.
Yes.
Did you know the last prisoner that was held at the Tower of London was held in 1952? Now listen to this. The history that traces to the 11th century. Holy Jesus Louise. The Tower of London. That's old, man. The Tower of London was initially intended to be a prison. It was supposed to be a prison, but it became one of the most famous places used for punitive confinement in the world. Now, prisoners held at the Tower of London included the Princess Elizabeth Tudor in 1554. Wow. Two of Henry VIII's wives, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, and Guy Fawkes after the gunpowder plot of 1605. The tower continued to be used as a prison on and off throughout the history books, with a pair of brothers that served as its last prisoners, the Cray twins. Now, Cray is in
pretty cray.
That's pretty cray. Ronnie and Reggie were members of the organized crime outfit in London's East End when it was failing to report for it was failing to report to military duty. They landed them in the tower in 1952. So they didn't report to, I guess, kind of like today, if you have to,
like getting drafted.
If you're drafted, you really have to go. If you don't, you go to Canada. No, if you don't go, you're in hot water. I think it's a prison time for ye. The twins were in and out of the prison for the rest of their lives, but the Tower of London became more of a repository of documents and royal artifacts, as well as a tourist attraction thereafter. So they were in and out in London, and they were the last ones in there in 1952. I would love to visit the Tower of London. I just want to see what's in there. Just the historical purposes, just to smell the air and see, like, damn, the history. 11th century, bunny. 11th century. Holy jeez.
Well, the last major Hollywood movie released on VHS tape. Now, for those that don't know what a VHS tape is, these things were like this big, and you had to rewind them.
Yes, and you would get fined by the people that if you rented a movie, if you didn't rewind, it said be kind and rewind, and if you didn't, they would charge you extra.
Yes, they would. They would open the movie right in front of you to make sure it was rewound.
Yes, I remember.
And if it wasn't, they would tack on like 25 cents.
Blockbuster was known for that, man.
Yes. But the last major Hollywood movie to be released on VHS was A History of Violence, directed by David Cronenberg. And it was released in theaters in 2005 and on DVD and VHS because, DVDs were out at this time.
Yes, they were. Yes, they were.
In 2006.
Imagine that.
Release on VHS marked the last time a major movie from Hollywood would be made available on tape.
So for those people that don't know VHS. I wonder. I might have one in storage somewhere. A
I think my
VCR.
mom still has a VCR and VHS tapes.
Could you imagine like watching the quality of that? What was the quality of that? I
Oh
wonder.
my god, the quality was so bad compared to what it is today, but it looked so good back then.
Oh, see, that's what it was. The TVs back then were made specifically for that format.
Mm-hmm.
Just, in today's world now, if we look at anything that's under 1920 by 1080 or HD, we're like, ew. Because have you ever watched some of the like stuff from the 1990s and stuff? And
I mean, I'm pretty sure my parents, because me and my brothers and my sister, the four of us were born in the 90s. I'm pretty sure somewhere my mom had home movies recorded off of one of those big, bulky video cameras. Not the kind we got today that's just one hand. No, you needed two hands for these.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure my mom has some of us kids somewhere. And I look at pictures that they took when we were kids, and that quality is really bad too. I can only imagine what the VHS quality is going to be like.
I remember seeing those like from the yes, I can remember like high school pictures, and in fact I even shown a picture of me on to you guys, and I looked. I was a young cacti, but the quality of the picture was, but that's what it was. It is what it is, It'd be really interesting to, but 2006, geez.
I mean, I have a picture on my wall that has to be 1994 because it's a picture of me as a baby with my mom and my dad. And I mean, the printing company I used for it makes it look good. They did touch-ups and stuff, but you can tell it's a really old picture.
Prestige. That was the company that we went through for our high school pictures. Prestige. It had a little golden written at the bottom of the picture, and you always sat there and you had those lasers behind you, or the pictures and stuff. It was really cool. It was nice.
I always used Oak Mill or something like that for our family pictures and stuff. But I remember when I was in like elementary school and stuff, it was always like Finishing Touch Studios or something.
Finishing Touch.
But speaking of Finishing Touch, it's the top of the hour again.
Yes, ma'am. We are at the top of the hour of the Megabyte podcast. Now, next hour, this is going to be interesting. The secret menu items. Stuff that is shh. You didn't know it existed. Yes. Fast food chains, restaurants all across the country, even probably across the world, they have their own secret menus.
You just have to ask for it.
I'm excited about this. I cannot wait to hear this. This would be really cool. That's going to be coming up after the break. You're listening to the Megabyte podcast. We'll be right back. I know some of these places have the hush hush like recipes or menus of items, but now this is kind of interesting.
Now every time I go to Starbucks, I always order off the secret menu.
Really?
They might not know it by name, but if you give them a recipe, they will make it.
Interesting.
And it's so good.
Never heard of it.
I got some kind of, I think it was like a cinnamon churro coffee, and it was so good.
Really?
Found on the secret menu.
See, I've never. I only get one thing, and two things. I retort. There are two items I get on there: a double tall decaf mocha, which is my go-to drink no matter what time of the year, hot, cold, winter, summer, hail, snow, sleet.
All that nasty shit you guys get up there.
Yes. or I get the good God, what is it called? The chestnut praline, which is really good. Yeah, it's kind of a rare one, but we get that up here, and things that are really clucking good.
I've been wanting to go here for quite some time.
Now here's a fun fact. We just within the last 5 years or less just started getting these popping up here in my neighborhood. We never had these. People would say all the time, "Have you heard of this?" I'm like, "What the hell is that?" Never heard of this place
So
before.
good. Our closest one is about 20-minute drive from me, but it is worth the drive.
Huh. See, I've never had one before. Never really went to one. I did in recent times, like 2019 or whatever it was, but before that, I didn't. We didn't have it around here.
Now, for those wondering what we're talking about, we are talking about Chick-fil-A. The only place I know that is closed on Sundays.
For religious purposes, mind you, that's kind of, I give them props for that. You know, I give them respect for that.
They close so that way their employees don't have to miss church on Sundays.
The Sabbath day, mind you. That's
now,
interesting.
With Chick-fil-A, you get it's a chicken place. You get chicken nuggets, chicken tenders, chicken sandwiches.
I heard it's really clucking good.
It's really clucking good. Now, for this secret menu item, it's called a spicy char.
Spicy char?
Yes. For those looking for a way to beat the chicken boredom, we suggest checking out the spicy char. Like everything you'll see here, it's not even listed on the menu. It's made with char-grilled, unbreaded chicken breast that's been sprinkled with hot and spicy seasoning.
Ooh.
The filet is served on a bun of your choice and comes with toasted dill pickle chips, which are amazing. If you've never had Chick-fil-A's dill pickles,
never.
They're so good.
I think I only had like a chicken sandwich one time ever in my life, and it was good. I can't complain. But the reason why we don't get it often here is the freaking line is like a mile behind.
Oh my god, yes. The lines at Chick-fil-A wrap around the building. That's the only reason I haven't gotten Chick-fil-A in a long time, because every time I drive past it, the line is outrageous, and I'm not going to wait that long.
So char-grilled, unbreaded chicken breast that's been sprinkled with hot and spicy seasonings.
Yes.
And it's served on the bun of your choice if you want white bun, whatever kind of buns they have. On top of that, you also get toasted dill pickle chips.
Yes.
Now, damn.
And it looks like it's got like a pepper jack cheese on it.
I mean,
you might have to ask for the pepper jack, but that just adds a little bit more kick to that spicy.
Yeah, the more kick, the more fighting and arguments you're going to have in that bathroom. Let me tell you, holy jeez Louise. I have never heard of that.
And I love the fact that they don't have traditional fries. They have waffle fries.
See, the one fry I don't like is crinkle fries. I've had them when I was a kid. Maybe I had a bad experience. Either you get them burnt or they're soggy. And it's like, it's really hard to get them because they have more moisture than your typical shoestring potato cut, you know. But
I'm telling you, waffle fries is where it's at.
It's talking about
cheese dip sauce.
Ooh.
Yes.
That sounds good. Talking about that is going to make me want to eat some. I don't even know how close to any of those are here. I would literally have to Google map it just to find out, because they're not common here. I literally would have to drive miles to get to one, which is rare, like, because you guys always hear me talking about, oh, there's a Starbucks right out this, you know, within 5 mile radius, I have like 4 Burger Kings. Like, what? Mm-hmm. Which is crazy. You ever heard of the chain called In-N-Out?
See, I've heard of it, but I've never been, because I'm an East Coaster.
I don't think we have that here. I don't think it's anything here at all. I've never heard of that. I've heard of various different chains, but I've never heard of this. So get this. On this secret menu, there's one that's called the 4x4. Are you ready for this clogging moment? This is, oh my God. You cannot have not 1, not 2, but 4 cheeseburger patties. 4 of these. Simply order a 4x4 and you'll get this delicious masterpiece with your favorite toppings and your secret sauce included. You can also order a 2x2 or even a 3x3 if you can't eat the 4x4.
You know, that's a lot of meat.
That's a lot of calories. Holy shit. I mean, could you
Not only
imagine it?
calories, that's a lot of carbs, that's a lot of grease, that's a lot of your cholesterol through the roof. That's what that is.
Your doctor is going to hate you after hearing that one. But get
God, yeah.
this, the 4x4 is capped at 4x4, so you can't do 5x5 or 10x10 because there was somebody who tried to order a 100x100.
What is wrong with these people?
I can't believe that shit. Now, I don't know
That
if
is insane.
the burgers, patties, from what I have seen, they look like quarter pounds or maybe they're third pound burgers. I'm not sure. So are they
Still,
like,
that's a lot of meat.
are they a cheeseburger size or are they like a Whopper size or a quarter pound size? Like you would find at either Burger King or McDonald's, respectfully. I don't know, but holy crap, dude! You imagine throw on cheese on that, okay, and then on top of that, throw the special sauce of some sort, whatever that is. I mean, the calorie content on that thing must be at least close
A
to
lot.
3,000 plus.
Because you got to think all the meat, the cheese, the bread, the sauce on it.
Mm-hmm.
You got the only thing healthy on it is the lettuce and the tomatoes. If that.
Mm.
If you even get those on it. Because I know somebody who doesn't like tomatoes.
That is correct. I wonder who that is. Yes, tomatoes. I'll eat ketchup. I'll have ketchup. I'll have salsa, and even like let's see, pico de mayo, but
pico de gallo.
That too. But I will never ever touch a slop of tomato on a burger. Hell no.
God, I love it.
Ooh.
Now, this next one is kind of not like. I mean, this next one should not be on this list.
Really? That bad?
It really shouldn't. It's from McDonald's. It's called the All-American Burger.
All-American Burger.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. Immediately I think of some kind of sauces, barbecue sauce, or something like that.
No.
No. What?
No. You order a hamburger.
Okay.
Regular hamburger.
Gotcha.
And you take off the onions and the mustard, and that's it. And that is an all-American burger.
So you're telling me the only thing you have is ketchup and pickles? Isn't that?
Yeah.
And that's the all-American burger.
Yep.
How the hell is that considered all-American? I don't know. I've never heard such a thing. That's crazy. I should try that one time. If I ever go back to the Arches and say, "Excuse me, I want an all-American burger, but throw the onions on it too, please," because I love those onions. Those are dehydrated onions.
Dehydrated? Yes, I do.
Isn't that crazy? There. I did too.
I hated it, but it was a paycheck.
Hey, are you feeling blue? No. Okay.
I'm feeling a little cold.
Did you know one of the most so Starbucks, we were talking about Starbucks earlier, the one of the most popular, I guess you could say, secret menu items they have for drinks is called the Cold Buster. It's made of half steamed lemonade, get ready to vomit, half hot water, and a tea bag each of jade citrus, mint green tea, and peach tranquility herbal tea.
See, it sounded good until you said half steamed lemonade, citrus mint green tea.
I
can't have those, Cactus.
So I can't either, and I could drink any of that shit. I just don't want it. So,
well, I don't want it either, but I can't drink it either.
A half steam. Okay, so let me repeat this.
Rerun this.
A half steamed lemonade. I don't know. Is that half a cup of steamed lemonade? Is that what a half means? I don't know. A half hot water. So you got 2 and 2. That's a whole, right? A tea bag of jade citrus mint. I've never heard of in my life. I'm sorry, jade citrus. I've never heard of. Mint green tea. I don't think I've heard of green tea and mint tea, but never combined. and peach tranquility herbal tea, which I would never do because it's peachy and I don't like sweetie tea. I like my gray earls or occasionally like a, you know, something like that. But oh,
All right, I'm Southern. I gotta have my sweet tea.
well, okay, I could deal with like. Are you talking like you sun cooked it yourself in the sun, like sun tea, or have you ever had sun tea before?
I've had sun tea before, but I'm talking sweet Southern sweet tea.
Hmm, I didn't know that existed.
You've never heard of sweet tea?
Well, I have, but I don't. I see. I again, I'm not a tea drinker, so I don't know much of it. I don't drink tea. The only tea I ever drank was Arizona iced teas, and that's in a
Those are
can.
so good.
I usually got the lemon or the raspberry. I grew up on
The
raspberry.
raspberries are really good.
Yeah, it don't, you can't find them anymore. Next
I
time you go to
know.
the shoppers market, check.
Trust me, I've looked.
All you see is that freaking Arnold Palmer and some like
Which I
peach
can't
tea
drink.
and some.
I like the peach tea, but I'm not. Okay, I like peach tea, but I'm not a huge fan of the Arizona peach tea. If I'm gonna get peach tea, it's gonna be like Snapple peach tea.
Really?
Yes.
Snap. I had a bad experience with a Snapple one time. I'll never forget when I worked at a place. This vendor came in who was a Snapple vendor, and this is when Snapple was just starting to settle in, and they were just getting like the new flavors and stuff, and they just constantly just like blasted the commercials for Snapple, which you never see anymore.
Mm.
But he was swapping out the old with the new, and it had an expiration of like 4 days from that day. So he told me and another employee, he's like, hey, here you go, you guys want a free Snapple, because I've never had one before until then. I said, sure, why not, what the hell. And I tried it and I wanted to vomit. It was expired, it was chunky.
Oh.
I don't think tea is supposed to be chunky.
No, that's disgusting.
And it had, I should have learned back in the day when I was a kid. We talked about that before on the air on my channel about me having a bad experience with chocolate milk as a kid. I was like 5 years old. But yeah, I should have sniffed it before I tried it, because I don't know. It just it didn't work. Did not work.
Let's move on to something that does sound good.
Okay.
Me personally, my favorite place to eat, like fast food wise, is without a doubt Taco Bell.
Ah, the little dog. Poor dog.
I remember getting Taco Bell as a child and getting those little talking Chihuahua plushies.
Yes.
And my mom would have a whole collection of them sitting on her dashboard, and I'd smack them all at once, and they'd all just start talking. But now, on the secret menu for Taco Bell, what is something you cannot get enough of at Taco Bell? Like, not like something that you could make at home, but you'd rather get it from there.
They used to have tostadas, but they don't do those anymore.
Oh my god, I miss those.
I like the chicken tacos. They don't make chicken tacos anymore either, though. Like the chicken, there was a chicken quesadilla thingy that I liked. But they don't make that.
The quesadilla is exactly what I'm talking about.
Ooh.
Now, this one, there's always room for improvement on quesadillas. Quesadillas are one of those, you put your mind to it, you can make it. You can add sausage, you can add different kinds of cheese, different kind of proteins. You can throw veggies in there. Now, this one, this is called a double grilled quesadilla.
The double
now,
grilled
me personally, last time I got a quesadilla, it already seemed like it was double, maybe even triple grilled.
Really?
It was a little too crispy. But you can get any of your quesadillas, the chicken, the steak, the cheese, you can get it grilled twice. It will be extra crispy, and they say extra tasty, but it depends on how much they grill it.
Okay.
Of course.
Wow. That brings back some memories when I worked at a BK, a Burger King. And there was people that wanted their Whopper fully cooked. Like they wanted it to run through the broiler twice. So here you are with a patty.
That sounds dry.
Oh, it is. Let me tell you, it burns it, and it almost becomes like a hockey puck. It literally, it starts off as a good sized burger, and then it shrinks
Yeah.
considerably once you run it twice because it's a broiler. I mean, it's like 500 plus degrees. Of course, something's going to shrink.
Oh
I
yeah.
I love the quesadilla. The reason why I don't get it anymore is it's so expensive. It's like $8 or $9 just for that and a drink,
Jesus.
like a combo. At least here in my state, it is. I've never heard of that. Speaking of something that's cheesy, gooey, and yummy, did you know on this menu list of hidden menu items that are found across fast food chains, did you know McDonald's has grilled cheeses?
What?
Oh yeah. Now,
Where the hell did they get grilled cheese? Because when I was working there was no such thing.
there is a mixed match of the ingredients a bit, but there is a dish that becomes apparent. It's called the grilled cheese sandwich. It's one of Ronald's most popular secret menu items and is made by grilling up, of course, the two slices or a slice or two of cheese between a hamburger bun. You could even request that they add a tomato slice, which I've heard of people doing. Why put on a grilled cheese? Don't ever put tomato on it. Why would you put tomato on it? That's disgusting.
I'd rather have tomato soup with the grilled cheese and dip it.
Why is tomatoes go together with cheese is beyond me. I don't understand the mixture of it. But yes, they do on their secret menu, and just one, they do have a thing. It is called the McDonald's grilled cheese, which is very
ask next time I go.
absolutely. They'll probably look at you like, "What? They didn't teach me that." But
the way I looked at you when you said it.
Yeah, never heard of it before, but give it a try. I mean, who knows? It might be like the most bomb ditty thing you've ever ate in your life there.
Probably
one of the lowest calorie contented things too, but hey, that's that, Oof.
I mean, if it works, it works.
Hey, I mean, why not, right?
Now, the next two are actually from the same place, so I'm just gonna throw it together and make it a meal.
Okay.
They're both from In-N-Out Burger.
Again, with In-N-Out, the 4x4s. Oof.
Now, this is called the Animal Burger. Now,
sorry, I think of Muppets when you say that.
Well, they have the Animal Burger, and they have the Animal Fries. Now, like I said, I've never tried In-N-Out. I don't know of any near me.
I will Google that while we're talking.
But the Animal Burger, you get an American cheeseburger with caramelized onions.
Yum. Ooh, yes.
Signature sauce, and it's got pickles, tomatoes, lettuce, typical American cheeseburger toppings.
Okay.
And the fries as well. It says this delicious fry box is topped with American cheese, caramelized onions, and the iconic signature sauce. So it's like loaded fries.
Interesting. Oof.
And it sounds amazing. And I wish to God In-N-Out Burger was on the East Coast, because I would go and I would try these in a heartbeat, because those sound amazing. Me personally, I love anything with caramelized onions on them. Those are my favorite kind of onions.
Yeah, anything that's
they have
like
to be sauteed,
yes.
They can't be raw. I cannot have raw onions.
Really?
But when it comes to caramelized onions, the more the merrier.
Now, see, here's an interesting thing. I've looked up, as you're talking, I looked up In-N-Out Burger. Nothing shows up at all as any In-N-Out Burger in my entire state. There's a party store. There's a various different things that are similar named, not identically named. But there's like a liquor store and I guess an inn. In-N-Out Inn. I mean, that sounds kind of, well, hey, let's go to the In-N-Out Inn real quick. Wow. I can't believe they would have that.
So I just looked it up. They have 286 restaurants in 5 states, and 5 states only: California, Nevada, Arizona, Utah, and Texas.
So they're all on the southwest side of the United States.
Yeah. I even looked up, does Florida have an In-N-Out burger? It says Cali Burger, with the In-N-Out inspired fast casual burger chain, is coming to Fort Myers area. So we have an In-N-Out inspired burger chain, but it's not In-N-Out burger, which sucks.
How can it be inspired? Okay. That's interesting. I've never heard such a thing. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Speaking of things I've never heard of before, Chipotle. You've heard of that chain, I'm sure. You know they have a single taco, just a single, un piquito. It's yes, it's really a weird thing.
I mean, it kind of makes sense if you think about it, because sometimes you want to take your family out and you got kids and they won't eat more than one.
Yeah,
It makes sense.
I could see it like that. Yes, I could see where, like, if I had a family and I had a little one in the family, I could see that because some of the stuff they order is kind of bulk. It's kind of like three tacos or two tacos and this and everything. So I could see that, but I never knew that they had a single taco before ever, which is good, I guess. They could whip it up for you. I guess they have no problems whipping it up. I never knew that they did, but I haven't had Chipotle. I don't think I've ever had Chipotle.
I know for a fact I've never been to Chipotle, but there's one over by the Chick-fil-A near me.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a Chipotle, unless I could be totally wrong. There is one that I've had. I don't know if it was Qdoba or if it was Chipotle. I know one had a salmonella issue or something. It wasn't that place. Excuse me. Speaking of places too, now in recent times I heard that the FDA was actually looking into it, but did you know the Clown of the Arches, they have a chocolate chip cookie McFlurry?
See, they never had that when I was working there. Or if they did, they didn't tell me.
So what it is ask for a plain sized McFlurry with a half a cup or a half of a chocolate chip cookie mixed in it. So in other words, you ask for it plain, but then ask them to put a half of a chocolate chip cookie mix in it. I don't understand. I guess their chocolate chip cookies I'm thinking those big ones, right? Is that what they are?
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Like the home baked ones or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So imagine that sucker into it. I guess I could see like something like that would be hidden. I don't know. I never knew that. I miss the old cookies they used to have.
They should have at least told employees.
Do you think they would ever tell their employees though? I mean,
Probably not. They didn't with me.
I had a bad episode just trying to get my damn sandwich that one night we were here streaming live. But that was with DoorDash. But it was also too with the lady. The lady there was just such a tyrant. That's just saying something very light. She was evil, and she was a quote unquote manager, so she said. But anyways, we won't talk about that episode. That was absolutely crazy.
Yes, that it was.
One place I like, Panera Bread.
I've never been to Panera.
Ooh, girl, let me tell you, it's good. I highly recommend, if you like salads, there's an apple salad. It's really good. And they have a variety of things. You can pick 2 items. So you get a half a sandwich and a cup of soup. So what I get is I get the white steak cheddar panini, half sandwich, and I also get the broccoli and cheddar soup. OMG.
Now, when it comes to soups, broccoli and cheddar is one of the top ones that I like.
It is absolutely the chunks of broccoli in it, and just it's thick. It's good. It's not thinned. It's not watery. It's super. Excuse me. Good. It's really good. They have a power breakfast egg white bowl with roasted turkey. Two things I never would touch in my life. Turkey and the egg whites and stuff. But it's kind of a secret-ish breakfast bowl. It's filled with turkey, basil, pesto, egg whites, roasted peppers, and baby spinach. And the dish officially released a secret menu a few years back. So the Panera, rather, they released a secret menu a few years ago and it has been removed from the web. But you can still order the items at a fair number of Panera locations.
Might have to take this picture up there and shove it in their face. Be like, give me the food.
Definitely, I will warn, they are pricey. And they have pizza now, which is the weirdest thing because they were supposed to be, quote, better.
Flatbread pizza?
They were supposed to be good food, like better quality food and not fast food. But here they are now, like 2 years into pizza making. It just blows my mind, but okay.
Well, what's your take on KFC?
Oh, I love it. Their chicken number 13 combo, they knows me well. Oh, yes.
Well, what if I told you their famous bowl can be customized to what you want?
You mean those bowls of like chicken and
chicken, corn, cheese, mashed potatoes, and gravy? Yeah.
You could literally
you can make your own bowl.
Really? Oh, that sounds so good.
Now, traditionally, the famous bowl comes layered with mashed potatoes, corn, chicken bites, gravy, and shredded cheese.
Yep.
But someone said that they sent one of their staff to their neighborhood KFC to see if the wait staff would be willing to make a custom famous bowl. And though the request was met with raised eyebrows, he got what he asked for. A cheeseless bowl built upon a bed of green beans instead of mashed potatoes. And the best part, you still get to sit down to a meal that includes crispy fried chicken.
I could see if you're lactose intolerant and couldn't eat cheese, that would be the perfect storm right there. That'd be the perfect menu item on there.
Yeah, but why get rid of the mashed potatoes for green beans? Come on.
That is a question mark in my head too. I couldn't do that. I like green beans. I like mashed potatoes, but
I love the mashed potatoes and gravy from KFC.
I've never really had gravy from there. Never tried it.
That is so good.
I'm barely a gravy. I rarely, if any time at all, if I get muffins or if I get biscuits, rather, not muffins, but if I get biscuits
and gravy,
biscuits and butter for me.
What?
Butter. Butter better.
You don't like the sausage gravy on top of biscuits?
No, I'm not a big fan of breakfast sausage either. I'm like
that must just be the southern in me, but biscuits and gravy is a staple.
You used to be a northerner. What happened to you?
I was born in the South.
You were?
I was born in Florida.
Oh, I thought you were.
I just lived up north for quite a few years. And even where I came from in Indiana, the Hardys, they had biscuits and gravy on their menu.
I do remember biscuits and gravy, and I remember like cinnamon something, or there was something else too, and I remember that. But again, it's something I wasn't really raised around. If we had biscuits, which was a rare thing anyways, we never really did the traditional breakfast either. On the weekends, maybe Father Cacti would cook like bacon. I'd have like 2 slices of bacon and milk and watch my cartoons. But we never had a family. My family was kind of weird. We never really sat down at a breakfast table and ate anything.
Yeah, no. There was our dining room table was used for Christmas and Thanksgiving, and that was it. And that was just to hold the food.
We would for dinner. Father Cacti would come home. He would sit across, and then Mother Cacti was to the right, and I would sit across. But we never really did any traditional things like that. We never did anything like that, which is weird.
Yeah, we sat in the living room, the kids on the floor around the coffee table. the adults on the couch, and we'd watch movies with dinner
Hmm.
and breakfast when I was a kid. Yeah, our holidays was the only time our dining room table saw food.
Really?
Yes.
Mm-mm-mm.
Now, do you like McDonald's breakfast?
The only thing I've ever gotten off it were two things: plain muffins with just butter and grape jelly. And within the last 10 years, I would get the steak, egg, and cheese bagel or
Oh
cheese,
God, please God, bring it back.
and it's gone.
I know. I like the bacon, egg, and cheese bagel. I just want it back so bad. I was actually just talking about those the other day.
I was very disappointed the one day I went to McDonald's. I was going early for something, and I went through the drive-through and I asked for that specifically. I said, "Can I get the steak, egg, and cheese?" Because I didn't see it on the numbers like I did. And it was like I just spoke German to her. It's like she was like, she'd never heard of it before. I was like,
It was just here last week.
"Are you
What are you
kidding
talking
me? Like, excuse me, you guys had steak, and you would get the full. I would just get it with no egg. I would get the cheese. It was such a great combo with a hash brown, and it was
Mm.
just the perfect thing. I think their hash browns are delicious.
Oh my God, yes.
Hmm.
So, speaking of hash browns,
Mm-hmm.
not all secret menu items are put together at the restaurant. This one is a hash brown McMuffin. Now, it's a sausage, egg, and cheese McMuffin
Okay.
and a hash brown. You just put the hash brown on the McMuffin.
Now that does sound interesting. I'm not much for the sausage breakfast stuff, the eggies and stuff, because I don't like the eggs. But I mean, damn. Now if you're gonna
Well,
add that protein to it, it does sound really good.
well, here's a tip for when you go to McDonald's for breakfast, because I used to work right at I would go in and clock in right before they changed to lunch. So
Okay.
I know a little bit about the breakfast. If you're going to get egg, ask for round egg
Instead of the fold.
instead of the fold egg. The folded egg comes in a carton. The round egg comes in a shell. Trust me, I've seen the walk-ins.
So in other words, the round is an actual egg. The other is just inside a carton of
Yeah.
juice.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yes, sir. Always
Uh,
get round egg.
see, I well, I always told him to hold the fold. Is what I always would say. Because I just didn't like that. But man, a hash brown McMuffin does sound good. I know you can get
It really
breakfast
does.
like all day at some of those restaurants.
Some of them. Depends on where you go.
It,
I know mine does breakfast all day at 1, and then the one closer to me does not.
Isn't that wild? I wonder if one is corporate, the other one is owned by a separate.
Franchised?
Yeah, yeah.
Probably.
Oftentimes you'll see the difference like that. You'd be like, is this franchise or is this corporate? Because corporate stores are more better looking,
By the book.
by the book too. Yeah, oh yeah, they're like hop 2 3 4, hop 2 3 4, versus the other ones are like, yo, dude, I'll get to you in a minute, man. How's that fly?
Yup.
I'm gonna put this joint over. Oh, Miga, so stuff like that.
Yeah.
If you're power hungry, and again, Panera, you got to go there. I'm my Panera powers are going to you. They're going to you, bunny. You got to try it. There's one that's called the Power Chicken Hummus Bowl. If you like hummus, and if you really clucking like chicken, this is the one for you.
Like chicken, not so much hummus.
It's got chicken, hummus, baby spinach, cucumbers, tomatoes, red onions, freshly squeezed lemon, and chopped cilantro. So this is like a big, like, oof.
Oh, okay.
It's
You say freshly squeezed lemon. I cannot have.
right. You can always substitute it
So,
and say no lemon.
yeah.
Limon.
No lemon, no hummus. And it sounds good.
It does.
It does.
It does. I like the red onions. Yeah, well, your lemons. I'll see your lemons and I'll raise you tomatoes. So no tomatoes for me. No lemons for you. Oof. I couldn't.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, it works out. It's an interesting combination, though. But I could see it, though, as a big bowl. I mean, it would fill you up, right? It would definitely fill you up.
Mm-hmm. Now, going back to Starbucks, because I'm a Starbucks lover.
Uh-huh.
And something that they have on their secret menu that not a lot of people really know about. Me personally, I knew they had this.
Uh-huh.
Matcha tea.
Matcha.
Yes.
No, Mom.
Huh.
You can order matcha tea in both hot and cold at your local Starbucks.
The matcha tea. I never.
Now, hot and iced matcha lattes are on the menu, but this is if you don't want your matcha in a latte form and you want it in a tea form.
You can order a tea that's hot and cold. The hot and ice. Really? Okay, I could see that. But oh, I don't know. I mean, from what isn't matcha kind of really like lime
it's
green?
Powerful. Yeah, it's a bright green. And now, if you're gonna order a matcha tea hot,
Yeah.
you would order an unsweetened matcha tea powder mixed with hot water. But if you'd rather something frothy, you can always order the matcha frappuccino or latte.
So okay, so you could have the okay, I got you. So I
Mhm.
see. I always like I always like hot drinks. I like the cold drinks occasionally. I'll get like a mocha, cold mocha or whatever the case it is. But as far as like, no matter, like I said earlier, no matter the time of the year, I still always get like a mocha, and it's always hot. In fact, I just had one before we went on the air today, ironically enough. And speaking of this, this chain is just getting word of mouth everywhere. The In and Out, the infamous 4x4. Here we go. Do you know they have a Neapolitan shake?
My ears perked up real quick when you said Neapolitan.
Dude.
I love Neapolitan.
Well, this is for those who are Confucius and they say, do I want vanilla? Do I want chocolate or strawberry? Why not have all three? Yes, you can order a Neapolitan shake at In-N-Out for a delicious combination of all three shake flavors. So they have obviously vanilla, chocolate, strawberry. And why didn't McDonald's or anybody else that has shakes think of this first? Like, holy shit, imagine that. Like, okay, you have your base, which is vanilla. Then you put on a center, you put some strawberry, and then you have some chocolate. Oh my god, it'd be a win-win situation.
Right?
Why can't people like, oof?
Some people like me are very indecisive.
You
It
don't
takes
say.
me forever to order.
Really?
Because I don't know what to get.
I'll have.
Especially when it comes to shakes. Like, say I go to McDonald's because I want a shake. It takes me forever to decide whether it's going to be strawberry, chocolate, or vanilla.
See, mine's straight up chocolate. If they don't have chocolate, I ain't getting it. Bottom line.
No, I like them all.
I'm one of those guys that is stuck in a rut. I've had relatives that love the, mother cacti myself. I always did chocolate. Father cacti did the vanilla, I think it was. Sometimes mother cacti, I think, would get strawberry. I know my cousins got strawberry shakes because we went to many times with them.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. But why not have all three of them? I wonder how Neapolitan came across as a staple of saying Neapolitan. And what the hell
Someone
is Neapolitan?
couldn't decide.
Right? They couldn't. That's weird. That's crazy. Let's see. From Neapolitanis, from Neapolis, from something, a Greek city in Naples. It describes an ice cream combination of flavors chocolate and strawberry, also called Neapolitan ice cream. Oh, no shit. I guess it's a right. I mean, right? I don't know. I mean, was it a staple ice cream in Neapolitan and Greece, or what were we doing here? I don't know. You know, there's a Neapolitan pizza too. In
Mhm.
1889, King Umberto and Queen Margherita of Savia visited Naples. And they baked them a pizza named in honor of the queen, whose colors mirrored those of the Italian flag: red for tomatoes, white for mozzarella, and the green for basil. This is
Yep.
what is now known as a classic Neapolitan pizza today. Mm. Didn't answer my
Mm,
question, but
God, I'm hungry now.
right?
Speaking of hungry, have you ever heard of Shake Shack?
There, I've seen one. Yes, I've never been to, but I double take. I'm like, I thought it was a Steak and Shake, but it was Shake Shack, and
Okay,
it
Steak
wasn't
and
Radio
Shake.
Shack. Hmm.
Steak and Shake is amazing.
Only,
First off.
only have had it once or twice my whole life. Another one of those ones that just appeared later in life. You know, just never was around.
Okay, well, this next one is a protein style burger at Shake Shack.
Hmm.
It says thanks to the West Coast fast food joint In and Out. There it is again, In and Out.
That place.
Protein style burgers, which is giant leaves of lettuce replacing starchy bun, have become popular amongst paleo follower and health-minded meat lovers alike.
See, I could see
what
that. I could see that.
what a lot of people don't know is that the low carb trend has moved beyond the In and Out drive-through and into outlets like Hardee's and Shake Shack. If you're not in the mood for beef, request the Shake Shack's vegetarian-friendly shroom burger made protein style. Now, what that is a mushroom patty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's like ground up mushrooms to make the protein, the patty, and then it's got the lettuce as your bun, and it's got tomato and cheese, and it looks like grilled onions.
See, now that's interesting. I wouldn't mind trying this. I would. I'd seriously try it because I think the idea of trying something new outside the box is something I like to do.
Yeah.
Now, I've had a mushroom burger. I ordered one before in mistake. Now, the reason why I say in mistake was because I did not know. I thought it was a hamburger that came with mushrooms on
Mushrooms,
top.
like a mushroom and Swiss.
Right, exactly. Perfect example. I was severely disappointed when I'm sitting here eating this big slice of mushroom on bread, which I thought was very peculiar. I like mushrooms, but it was just a little too much for me. And I thought this is freaking weird, but I guess there's people who enjoy it. But I mean, instead of, I could see people who are trying to watch their carb counts. Isn't that what that paleo?
Paleo.
Thank you. Those people, they're the ones who are watching carbs. Is that what it is? I don't know any of the diet names. I've heard of them, but it goes in one ear and out the other. I don't know. But for me, that would be something I would like to try. Instead of have the lettuce, why not use like iceberg lettuce? Because we used to get those big things of lettuce, those big balls of lettuce, and then you peel it off and stuff and rinse it off and stuff. It sounds really
It's a
good.
head of lettuce cactus.
A head of lettuce,
Not a
yes.
ball of lettuce. Anyway, moving on.
Yes. Here's something you never in your lifetime would ever thought it would happen, but it's had. The pairing of a surf and turf from McDonald's. You imagine that? So, think about this. You have a cheeseburger, or do you want a fish sandwich? You can't decide between the two. Well, guess what? Smash those two bad boys together with this clever sandwich combination. You could take the top bun off the filet of fish on the top and add the cheeseburger on top, and voila. So you have a cheeseburger, kind of like a Big Mac in a sense. You open it up, you order the cheeseburger, pop it open. On the bottom bun, put a fish fillet sandwich, then put the bottom burger of the hamburger bun on top of that, and then put your, I don't know what happens to the top of the other thing, and then bada boom, bada bing, you have yourself a thing is called surf and turf. So you have beef and you also have fish at the same time. That's kind of weird.
I got excited when you said surf and turf.
Hmm.
I got very disappointed when you described what it was.
You think they're going to have steak and lobster over here?
Hell
I mean,
yeah. That's surf and turf. That's a McDouble or a cheeseburger on top of a fillet of fish.
this sounds like a mistake.
That is not surf and turf.
Just like those McRibs. I never was into those McRibs. Never that they even had McDonald's the hot dogs too.
Yeah.
Which went
I don't
in
know
and
about
out.
all that.
It was quickly as it came in, it was gone. It was like what the hell
Exactly.
were you thinking? Kind of a moment. But yes, you can do a surf and turf on at this place, the McDonald's. So you take a cheeseburger and fillet of fish and wonk them together, and bada boom, bada bing.
Okay, I'll take your surf and turf and I'll one up that.
Oh, okay. One up me.
How about a McDonald's land, sea, and air burger?
What the hell? What?
Okay.
Are you making this up on me now?
No.
Oh
not.
yeah. Are you sure?
You want to take the surf and turf burger to the next level?
Shit.
Buy a McChicken as well.
What the?
Oh, because it
Exactly.
fly. Oh,
What the-
exactly.
So it says you can either add the cheeseburger patty inside the fillet of fish and add the McChicken on top, or serve it Big Mac style and have fillet of fish bun, fillet of fish with the cheeseburger on top, bun, McChicken with the lettuce,
Holy
and
shit.
then the bun.
So you.
I'm not kidding.
What?
This thing looks ridiculous.
It looks hideous. Wait. Okay. So I'm imagine this in my head. I could make a fish fillet sandwich, mix that with a chicken sandwich and a bun or a hamburger, but I could stack it either way. So there's like how many different combinations I could stack this? Wow.
Yeah.
What is this?
That's crazy.
McDonald's land, sea, and air burger. I'll have to look for that. I'll have to ask them if you ever heard of that and see what they say. They probably never heard of it in their lifetime. Damn, that's crazy. Sorry. All right. So Starbucks, they have an espresso. I love espresso, but they have a banana protein smoothie.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, for example, if you feel tired or you're just like me, and you want to wake up, well, of course, protein does it for you. But also, too, there's an easy way to refuel yourself and give yourself a burst of energy because of the potassium in it. Sip an espresso banana protein smoothie. But it's not on the menu, though. It's not. So you'll have to tell the barista what ingredients to go into the mix. Simply,
Not on the menu.
it's whey protein. Whey, dude. A banana. Shove it in, boy. A shot of espresso, ice, and H2O. It's a simple but delicious protein power espresso banana protein smoothie. Now, it doesn't sound too bad, honest to God. I think I would try that because I do like banana. I do like espresso. So, and it's a cold one, so I might have to try that. I might have to ask or tell them. I don't know about the whey protein. I don't know if I've ever had whey. Maybe I have. I just don't realize it. It's one of those hidden things that are in like a ton of foods.
In a lot of different things, yeah.
It's like you just don't know. And you're like, holy crap, what is this? Like, is this really in here?
Right.
It's like crazy. I don't know how to try that though. I don't know.
You want to throw it back to McDonald's for a second?
Sure, why not?
So, I'm scrolling and looking at this list.
Uh-oh.
And if you can't decide between breakfast or a burger, you can build your own McBrunch burger.
A McBrunch burger? What?
You just order a regular or a double cheeseburger, add an egg, and a hash brown.
Holy hell. Wow. Really?
Yeah, really.
A McBrunch burger. Now that's pretty ingenious. They should have that one
It
on the
really
menu.
is.
I mean, that's.
I wonder. Okay, I'm sorry to say this, but I wonder how high that employee was to figure that one out for it to be on this list.
They must have been a high mofo. Dude, let's try this and that and this. Like, holy shit, that sounds
Oh my
pretty good.
God.
So, cheeseburger or double cheeseburger, round or folded egg. There's that round egg again. See, I just learned
Yep.
something from you today. I never knew there was a difference between the round and the folded egg. I thought the folded egg was indeed a real egg that was flipped over and it's,
Nope, it comes from a carton.
a McBrunch burger. An egg and hash brown to it, and bada boom, bada bing. So for those who like McDonald's, and if you're into that so much in the morning, and if it's like say 10:30, and you're like, should I eat breakfast or should I have lunch? Because the transition usually time for us here is 10:30 is when they start making lunch. But damn, a McBrunch burger too. I want to write that down.
Okay.
I'm gonna write that one
You
down.
have the list, Cactus.
I do, but holy, that's ingenious.
Now, you want to know something you can pair with that?
What's that?
An apple pie McFlurry.
An apple pie McFlurry.
Yes, you can really order it. All you gotta do is ask for a McFlurry, plain McFlurry, and ask them to blend in an apple pie. And if the employee doesn't mix it up, just buy an apple pie and a McFlurry and mix it up yourself.
Damn, that's great. I can't see it. It says a McBrunch burger. I'm gonna try that.
You better write down the ingredients so you know what to get.
Yeah, I better. Okay. So let's see. We'll do a hamburger. That's ingenious, man.
It's great.
Do they have folded eggs still, or is they?
Just do round egg. Just ask for round, or you will get a folded.
Round eggy poo and a hash brown. Combine that stuff. Now, knowing the dum-dums in my area, they'd probably separate everything. They'd probably put the burger in it. They wouldn't even put the egg on it. And they would just probably give me a hash brown on the side. But like, you know what?
Yep.
Screw it. I will do it myself anyways. I'm a hands-on kind of I am a hands-on kind of guy. I could do this stuff myself, I could really do that. I'd like this stuff. I like these topics. Right? We're running out of time, but we gotta touch base on this next week.
Oh God, yes. You know for a fact there's way more.
Oh, there's definitely way more. There's more stuff than we know. The secret menus of fast food chains. I mean,
absolutely.
That is so crazy. I've never heard of it. I never heard of it. But thanks to you and thanks to me, we officially have.
And now all of you have as well.
That's true. That's all the time we have today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for listening. You are listening to the Megabyte podcast. If you want to catch us again, catch our prior broadcasts, and if you want to listen to each episode, simply go to anchor.fm/squeamish cactus, and you'll be able to listen to the other podcasts from before. It was really interesting stuff in there, too.
You can always type !podcast in the chat as well, and you will see where all of them are.
There you go.